Friday afternoon, and despite all the insightful presentations and comments, I think we are all a bit tired at this moment, and I would like to suggest a method that we have implemented lately here in Finnish Center for Pensions in our meetings. So I would like to ask you all to stand up and stretch yourself a bit and move your shoulders and make some turns. Okay, very well done. Thank you. So, now that we all have some new oxygen in our brains, I would like to take up from Joachim's presentation on retirement and health and life expectancy and social inequalities in this respect. And I will also use Finland as an example of how we can look at this in life course perspective. So in terms of life course, there is a tendency of rather standardizing life course than de-standardizing, and pension reforms are one driver here, because in most pension reforms we have reduced early retirement options or limited access to early retirement. And next step in many countries is to increase the statutory old age retirement ages. And now old age retirement is a longevity insurance. And as Joachim just said, there are quite clear social inequalities in mortality and in longevity. So blue-collar workers and those in lower income groups tend to have shorter life expectancy. And therefore, I think it's likely that in many countries, increasing the old age retirement age will become a social inequality question. And also in Finland, when it was negotiated about the increase of old age retirement age, there was quite strong opposition from the part of the labor unions, especially in male-dominated sectors. And actually, Union of Construction Workers launched a media campaign in which they said or referred to these socioeconomic mortality differences and said that we'd rather retire alive and obviously also healthy. So when old age retirement age is increased proportionally, it's likely to take a bigger chunk of the time in retirement for the blue-collar workers and also a bigger chunk of their pension wealth in comparison to other occupation groups. And in fact, there are not so many studies on how long people in each socioeconomic position actually spend in retirement. So population researchers in Helsinki University provided us with such research. And their study found that, quite correct, on average, upper white-collar worker can expect to spend longer time in old age retirement compared to a blue-collar worker. Here, the researchers used Finnish register data and mortality forecasts to calculate first life expectancy and then divided into expectancies of retirement time and also of working time from the 50 years on. Now, one of the central ideas of pension as an insurance is risk sharing, as we know. So those who die earlier will cover for the risk of those who live longer. That's sort of an inherent idea of insurance. However, these results mean that the time we spend in old age retirement is not random. And risk sharing in these circumstances distributes pension well from those in lower social positions to those in higher positions, just as Joachim said. So I think this is something that needs to be recognized. And when we have an old age scheme, and especially when it's earnings related, it's effectively regressive scheme. And that's unless the pension system has other redistributive elements such that will compensate for those in lower socioeconomic position. And as we know, often countries have national pensions or basic pension that can compensate here. But this usually solves only part of the problem because national pensions are usually low. But there can be compensating elements also in earnings-related systems, and one such element, I would argue, is a disability pension. So this graph presents the number of years one can expect to spend in early retirement by socioeconomic group. And in Finland, early retirement nowadays is basically a disability pension. So there is high correlation, or they are more or less the same. So we see that also here there is a clear social gradient, but it's the opposite to the old age pension. This in itself is not, of course, no news. But what was surprising for many is that when we pile these up, the time spent in retirement is actually rather equal for different social groups. So in this sense, I think we can say that the distribution of pension wealth is much less regressive than we think at first, provided that the pension system includes a disability pension. We also combined the information from this study to information that we have in our registers of the past work history of these people who are at their 50s. So we could actually have an estimate for the length of the whole working life course. And when we calculate the ratio of time spent in retirement to the time spent working, we get this. So we see that even in these terms, like in terms of roughly speaking, in terms of pension payments and benefits or returns to payments, the situation is much more equal than one would think at first. Now, of course, you might say that disability pension and old age pension are not the same, you know, like in qualitative terms. And So if I would be in a position to choose disability pension or old age pension, I would of course like to count for the health cost associated with the disability pension. So with disability pension I have to accept a severe illness or injury that would reduce my quality of life and possibilities to consumption and so on. So actually sort of every cent that I would receive from disability pension would be to me of less value than penny I receive from old age pension. But this is rather theoretical thinking. In real life, we often can't choose in this way. And so this means that while the disability pension evens out some of the regressive nature of the old age pension, it doesn't mean that there are no inequalities left. Now, what is interesting in relation to these observations is that during the last 10 to 15 years, several countries have actually reformed their disability benefits in such a way that removes disability pension from the pension system. And actually Sweden is one of these countries. And the rationale behind this is, of course, the aim to reduce the time people are spending on disability over the life course, and to increase incentives to take part in the labor market, even for those who have disabilities. So disability pensions are being made temporary. The ability to work is being reassessed regularly. The benefit formulas are being differentiated from the general pension formulas. And at the system level, disability and pension benefits are being segregated. And even the name of disability pension is sometimes being changed. It's rather called just a disability benefit, or perhaps a health insurance or something like that. So my sort of a concluding comment would be that if we reflect this development with the findings concerning the Finnish case and the social differences in pension time, we can say that excluding disability pension from the more general or segregating between disability insurance and old age pension is likely to pose challenges when we like to increase the old age retirement age. I think this is something that needs to be taken into account in one way or another in pension reforms that aim at delaying retirement and increasing the old age retirement age. Thank you.